Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about the Deuce Season 2, Episode 9. It's called Inside the Pretend. Season finale, of course. I also full spoilers for the episode, as always. So, we were expecting tragedy, and I think we got tragedy, and maybe some more subtle or quieter ways than I was expecting, almost.
Yeah, I was expecting more, so like even up to the last minute when there's the songs playing, the montage is going. I'm on edge.
Yeah. But the thing is the final moment, is the camera backs away from Vincent. It was very reminiscent because the camera backed away at the end of last season as well. It just happened to be inside the parlour. It was empty. And it was like everything was hidden behind the doors, whereas here it's like, not out in plain sight. It doesn't really feel safe. It worked for me because it's kind of like, he's now worried that something someday is going to happen. And now it's like, it's that fear. It kind of puts us in the same place where we're kind of expecting something to happen. It doesn't quite yet, but that possibility's there. Yeah.
I do like the shot. I don't think it was a cue the bass shot.
Yeah, because I had to cut to black first, and then it cued the bass.
Yeah.
And I feel it's weird because it's maybe the only episode that I can remember right now that doesn't have a good cue the bass moment at the end.
Yeah, it's weird. It feels surprisingly underwhelming in that sense for the here's your season final, right? Okay, let's make it a good moment. It is a good moment. It undercuts the theme of how they end every other episode.
What they should have done is just fade the music out slowly, so as it was coming over the crowd dancing, just have it be eerily silent for a few seconds, and then cut. And then
I think it's just the fact that the song was still playing.
Yeah.
If you fade out the song and then fade in the bass, it works fine. But they didn't fade out. They just had the cut as they did to black and then come back in with the bass, and that was just a bit weird.
Well, a little weird technical qualm we have to kick off this one.
Anyone who's on this episode listening to this knows how much we love those moments.
Oh yeah, when the bass comes in at the end. It's good. We start the episode with the premiere of Red Hot. Neat place to start the season off. Laurie's in a bad place. Candy's kind of feeling on top of the world for the most part. Obviously, editor boyfriend kind of puts his foot in it a little bit with his friends.
I want to say he was called Russell.
Oh, sounds about right. I'll take it.
You can tell how uninteresting he is though as a character, really.
Yeah, he's
not really bothered.
He's there for her story. He's not really a character on his own right, but. And he's just kind of bragging about having sex with a porn star, and she hears it, and that leads to that. But the other things in this scene. And I think we'll maybe tackle Laurie's story first because it's funny because we jump ahead because I was kind of hoping we'd start this episode with the cleanup of the body, right? I was wanting to see how did they deal with this.
Yeah, me too.
I was expecting hijinks in a very dark humor kind of way, but so we cut ahead and she doesn't. No one knows he's dead outside of the people who know who were there, right? There's some rumors about the town, but no one knows he's dead, and Laurie's like terrified that he's going to show up at the premiere, and it was interesting that Larry kind of like calms her down, and Larry's like basically says I've got your back, and leads her off, but takes her hand and leads her off, and it's kind of like it's interesting how this is almost like kind of like because the pimps the whole thing was like the protecting the girls, that was like the main part of the job, at least the selling point of it, and here he's actually just doing it genuinely because she feels scared.
He just had to slip into that role. Right, the pimp role, just to.
We'll talk about roles. Yes,
we will.
Roles.
But I felt that here early, because that was before any of that stuff. I felt immediately he's just slipping into that, being like, because like I say, that was always the pimp's job, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of went back into that for her. I was like, okay,
it's what she needed right now. It's what she needed in that moment.
Yeah, and as I was watching it, I was questioning, okay, does she feel like he's almost trying to take Cece's place in some ways, right?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe she thinks that, but I don't think he ever was.
No, I don't think he ever meant that. I don't think that was his intention, but I wonder if that crossed her mind.
Because to me, this was also another sign from Larry's side where he has changed, where he's not doing this for his gain. He's doing this just to make her feel safe.
Because Larry is actually a decent human.
For the most part, yeah. he's grown and progressed. He's
relatively speaking.
Yeah. I mean, he's by far the best pimp. Like, there's no question.
Yeah, there's really no competition
there. But she's so scared, and I thought this was really touching later on when she's in the producer's office, and she's like refusing to go to LA. She's crying in the chair, and the producer's pleading with her to like he's not coming back. We've paid him off. Cece's gone. She's just terrified, and it's when she says, I need him to tell me it's okay to go to LA before I go. And I'm like, shit, that he has broken her, the way he's treated her all these years. And it was, obviously we've been very on edge about what he might do to her all season, and now we know that danger's over. She doesn't know that yet, but it never occurred to me just that this sad kind of knock-on effect of what he's done, the trauma of living through that life with him and what it's done to her. So that really hit. That really hit in that scene. And it's later on when Harvey brings it up that, you know, she's feeling this way, and Frank says, you know, I'll talk to her about it, and I'm like, yeah, you should, because you can maybe comfort her in a way that most people can't right now.
Yeah, you can tell her the truth.
Yeah. He doesn't really go into why he's dead. I mean, he doesn't even outright say he kills him, although she kind of assumes that he was part of it, and he kind of doesn't deny it. It's very...
Yeah, I think the bit that got me is, she goes, oh, was it to do with me? And he's like, no. She goes, so why was he, well, you know, why was he killed? And he just kind of shrugs his shoulders like, I don't really know. Just shit happened.
I mean, if he wanted to get more into it, he could at least claim that he was, you know, he was protecting someone. This was defense.
Yeah.
It was a very extreme form of defense, but it was kind of defense. And a
defense with a hammer.
And a stretching the logic kind of way. But when he leaves the scene and she starts crying, and I'm like, are these tears of happiness?
Yeah, which way is this going?
Because she's hiding her face like for the first like little while of this, and this is one of several scenes in this episode where the acting is just on a tour de force. There's a lot of examples in this episode of where the acting was just taking me. But when she finally moves her hands, you just see the smile kind of break out, and it's this relief. And she goes to LA and she meets up with that guy she met when she was there for the awards.
Yeah.
And she's in the fancy car and she's got the sunglasses on and everything's bright. The future's bright. The future's orange. You know. It's,
I haven't heard that in a long time.
That was a dated reference, but you know what? I'll take it. The moment took me there.
Oh jeez, that took me right back to sitting in the cinema.
So. Yeah, no, Laurie's story was kind of sad, but did have the happier ending there, which was nice to see. So that was really good. Because I think one of the big themes of this episode is particularly, well, for everyone, but I think there's a lot more examples with the lady characters, is where they're all entering new phases of their lives. Like, I feel like whereas Vincent is still kind of where he is, whereas everyone else is kind of entering this new phase for one way or another. For Laurie, it's that she's moving on to this new career and she's off to LA. And for Candy, it's
being public.
It's being public, and it's it's the recognition. It's seeing the reviews, which are really positive. I mean, obviously the one newspaper's kind of like, oh, there's hardcore sex.
Yeah. If only all this porn wasn't here, this would be not bad.
But it's like this new thing. She gets the TV interview where she's been kind of made fun of. But it all comes down, and because of the scene, of course, where Harvey's complaining about the mob. We find out that when Frankie sold 25% of the movie to Rudy, he was not aware that 90% of the movie was already belonging to someone else. And that was the other mob guy. So they come in and they're like, well, I own 25, he owns 90. I don't know if you noticed this, but that's 115%. And how much do you own, Harvey? So I mean, all 10 maybe? That's 125. And that's not even including the producer from LA that was involved as well for 10%. And Kai just kind of shrugs it off. He's like, you know what? Fine, we'll make them money, but we'll not earn a dime for this. But it doesn't matter, because this will give us cred. This will give me a name.
She's got business sense. She's like, yes, this is a loss leader.
This is a loss leader. But you know what, Harvey? We're going to make more movies together, and the next 5 are going to make us rich. It's fine. We can live with this.
We're getting to a pivotal point of the porn industry as well. VHS.
Oh yes, I was laughing. I was laughing hysterically because I had never seen this before. I don't think. But obviously, I just buy that it's real, and it's just what was there. It's his remote had like a cable on it, and it was like this clicker, and I was like, oh man, before remote controls as we know them,
before they used infrared.
Yeah, which it's not like it's that long after this that's a thing.
No, I mean, my entire life, presumably you don't. You said you've never seen one.
I've not seen one.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a new thing, is it?
No. No, it's just pretty old tech at this point. But Joe, actually, the point I liked is that there was this old tape machine that was the old format. You know, I never made it to mainstream consumption, but. He's like, oh, but this is a relic. It's only 3 years old, but it's already a relic. And I'm like, yeah, technology's moving faster and faster. And he's like, look at this, and he puts in the tape, and he's like, look at this. You can rewind it, and you can watch it again. You can watch it in your own home. You can do whatever you want while you're watching the porn. And she gets excited, and she's kind of like into it. So this is a big deal. People are going to mail order this, and he's like, not just mail order. They're going to walk into stores and they're going to buy this for $100 a pop. And she's like, 100, which. I am actually. It's funny because obviously that feels really dated as well. But I can actually collaborate with this. I've got a fair bit of knowledge on the history of this stuff. Videos used to be expensive as shit.
Yeah.
And the reason why they were expensive as shit is because the idea is that rental places would buy them for $100, $200, and then they'd make their money back over rentals for X number of time. The idea of a videotape for a movie, by the time we got to the 90s before it died out with DVD. The idea of it being like 20, 30, 40, that came down over time. The idea of people collecting them was more of a thing later on, but this was absolutely the type of price. If anything, this was lowballing it for the time period.
Yeah, and she's shocked, being like, "What, really?" And he's like, "You are underestimating how much people want to just watch porn on their own."
I know. I know. So that was a really fun sequence. It's something because they don't really talk about because they've not done a lot of wink teachers things within the 70s. It just kind of gets on with it. But this was a fun one because it directly impacts what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's such a big part of the industry at that time, right?
Yeah.
And technology as a whole, it's the one area of technology that porn genuinely had a huge influence on.
It did. That won the format war. That's why VHS won over Betamax.
Right. So it feels important that it should at least get mentioned.
Yeah, pretty much. So that was good. But the standout scene with Candy by far is when she goes to try and take her son on the beach holiday.
Yeah.
And this is one of these scenes where when you ask me what makes the Deuce great, and I talk about how it's mainly a character drama. It has plot, of course, going on, but it's a lighter plot show and a heavy character show.
It's got more plot this season than it did last season, though.
That's true, and it sets up some things for season 3 as well that I think. We're going to have going, but this scene is so impeccably choreographed and directed, and how it handles subtle little details. Because Carrie comes up to the house and she's like banging on the door and she's shouting up to her son and she's like, "Hey, come on, let's go on vacation. We're going." And the door opens and it's the dad who we saw running and hiding from last season. And I remember speculating about this, and we've not seen him though. It's been so long.
I would almost call that a small critique. In that this is such a big moment in the season finale, and we've got nothing all season to even remind us that this was a thing. Now, obviously, we remember it was a big deal last season. Don't get me wrong, but I think just something just a little thing as a reminder here or there would have helped.
Oh, so you didn't want to see him before because you like the idea this is the first time you see him, but just a reminder. I
didn't want to see him. I definitely didn't want to see her confront him or anything like that. But just in some of the conversations that she's having, with around back at home, maybe fair. Just a mention.
But I think not seeing him up until this point is so effective because he's been out of her life, and the moment I love here is when she walks up the steps towards him, and she starts off with this face of determination where she's not going to back down. She's going to stand up to him. She's made a life for herself now. She's proud of who she is, and she's walking up those stairs. And it's only 5 steps. It's a little, few steps going up to the door. But by the time she gets to the top of the steps, there's this slightest smile, this slightest smirk kind of appears on her face. She starts off determined, and she's almost cocky by the time she gets to the top of the stairs. And it's kind of like, no, this is where she is now. This is where she's come over the journey, where she's got this job, she's getting self-respect, she's getting respected in an industry, she's making a name for herself.
And then 90 seconds later,
the door's slammed in her face and she's crying because her dad made her feel like a piece of shit again. And it's going into new things, but then maybe, and I think this is another big theme of this, is that, okay, people are moving into new situations, new places, but are they trapped in other ways? Are they as free as they think they are in other ways? And for Candy, we know her dad, and avoiding him is a big thing, and saving it all this time and only seeing it here when it's like a brick wall saying, no, you're not allowed in this house, or your son's not going with you. And my favourite shot of the whole thing, though, as much as I love walking up the stairs, is when it goes to the wide shot and you see him upstairs in the window, but it's so wide you don't see him clearly. You just see he's there. He's standing there. I love that shot because it sits on it for a while.
It does. It's a great shot.
It lingers there. It's beautiful. And then it goes into his bedroom and you see he's got a black eye. He turns around and he's got this big, giant black eye. And the grandfather mentioned something about, what do you think was going to happen at school once you told everyone who you really are? And it didn't take a giant leap in logic. You kind of assume someone maybe said something about his mother. He
jumped in to defend her.
Yeah, and it led to this. And it's
kind of inevitable. You know, the grandfather has a small point. He's been a dick about it, but he's not wrong to say that.
So she's put back, crying again. She walks away, and he's looking out the window, but he's gone by the time she looks back up at the window, and it's just this sad moment. And then in the montage at the end, when she's like still working, she's working on more movies, and the Harvey's wife's working on scripts. We see the photo on her desk, and it's almost like she's having to kind of work, at least until he's 18 and he's free to make his own choices when it comes to this kind of stuff. But at least for now, she's kind of having to just pick her career over the family life.
That's assuming that he doesn't agree with his grandfather to some extent.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine this has put a bit of a scare into him, having to deal with this.
Exactly. I mean, he was obviously very excited before, but he didn't know the truth.
Yeah.
Now he knows. Is he like, do you know what? I don't want anything to do with it.
That would be a really sad turn in the story if that's what we find out next season.
It would, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
It might not, though.
Yeah, that would be a twist in the side, but no, that scene with her father's fantastic, and then so that was her story. Still working on movies. And Harvey's wife's now the full-time script writer because she actually wrote a pretty damn good script.
Yeah. Although that was one of the critiques in the review, I believe. The script was a bit rough.
Yeah, it wasn't that word though. It was like heavy, maybe heavy-handed, something like that.
Maybe it had a specific thing. It was clearly a negative. That it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't. It was one of the weaker links.
Hey, it was like her first script.
Not too bad.
Yeah, she can get better.
Yeah.
Just to offshoot the Frankie stuff, since we mentioned him in the previous one thing with Laurie, and then of course he was in the money conversation. He's basically getting no money from his investment in this movie because it's his fault that he sold off everything to other people for higher percentages than he should have, and because of that, he's back at the sex shop. What do you call it? The Peep Show.
Yeah.
With Irene. But what I thought was really funny about it is like, oh yeah, Rudy felt kind of bad for me, so he gave me this job back.
Yeah. Even said, don't take as many quarters next time.
Well, that was the thing. At the end in the montage, he's stealing like 3 wads of cash, and then he looks over at Irene, and she's not even trying to stop him. So he hands her 1 wad. Here, you take this one.
Well, I'd say he got permission from Rudy to take some. It's like, just don't take as many.
Yes.
Right? Just leave us with enough.
It's always really funny about it. It's like because you'd feel like the mob bosses would want to kill anyone who's stealing from them. But I love the idea that Rudy just knows what Frankie's like, and it's like, you know what? As long as it's not too much.
Yeah, I'll let some of it slide.
Yeah, Vincent's worth having around and being happy. That will let Frankie just be a bit of a doofus over there.
Yeah,
it's basically
it doesn't really hurt the operation too much, and occasionally he does something useful.
Yeah, and of course, she's not very happy because Shay's kind of sorted back into her life as the consolation prize, if you put it. Which I suppose will lead us back to talk about Shay and Rodney, who's determined to rob the pharmacy, and has the most idiotic murder scene possible, where he accidentally shoots the guy. I like how when he was buying the gun, though, it's set up that make sure when the clip's extended, there's still one in the chamber. Like it made a point of just clarifying for anyone who doesn't know guns well enough, it can still go off even though the clip's falling out. Like that's still a thing. And the guy dies, and he's stupid enough to stay around and try and steal drugs still. Even though the guy told him that all the good stuff was in a time locked safe, like he can't get into it. It's now locked till morning.
Yeah, and he knows that the guy pressed the silent alarm because that's what kicked it all off.
So it's actually Karate Kid who saunters down, and he's drunk, by the way, as well. He's like
yeah, his partner's just like, no, I'm not coming. You go on your own. I'm going to stay and finish my drink. Screw you.
So he ends up shooting Rodney like 5 times. He gets shot once in the shoulder, which then
and
ties
then he's
in.
like, Rodney, you stupid bastard.
Yeah, and then it ties into Allison's plot, who is taking the job as being the liaison to Goldman, and they're giving all these perks, like saying, "Hey, okay, just give us some warning if you're going to like bite someone important in City Hall or whoever. We want to know who, so we know what enemies we're making, so we can protect ourselves from them. But we will make the enemies. We're not trying to like cover things up." But
it seemed pretty legit.
It felt fairly legit. But he's like, "What do you need from us?" Because he said he wanted to protect us, so it felt a little bit cynical. And okay, no matter what we're doing, we're going to protect our department, but we'll make enemies elsewhere. So it's playing the politics game,
right?
Yeah. And it's funny because we just watched Serpico, which is set just a few years before this in terms of
it's around this time,
the corruption. Yeah, that's in Flux coming later on, but. He's like, what do you need from us? And he's like, oh, maybe more, but what I need is all of the people who work in Vice. I need them gone because they protect the people around there. They have deals with the mob. They have deals with the parlors and all the businesses. They need to be gone. If we want to make any headway, they have to be gone. But then Karate Kid gets shot, and now he's a hero, so now he can't be touched. Like everyone loves him too much, and he's like, you got a bullet wound. You're a hero.
He took one for the team.
But Goldman's like, no, you know what? You even need to like change things. You just have to kind of hold the line where it is because the money and the investments and the corporate side
that way, yeah.
are going to solve it. And we see like he's got like he's modeled the city out with the new buildings and all the rest of it. And it's interesting. This is very much season 3 plot, I think. Where this is one of the big things where I feel like okay, this is going to be big season 3 stuff.
I agree, and I thought this is where maybe this season differed from last because maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't recall last season setting up a lot of things.
Not really. It was like the parlors were done, and it was just kind of where everyone was dramatically in terms of their character arcs. But whereas this one, I think between this plot and then. I mean, this was the main plot where I felt there was plot being set up, but there was a few other things where okay, people are in new jobs or whatever, so that's what it'll be next season.
We just spoke about Candy, and her situation with her family, and like okay, that feels like okay, we're really going to delve into that next year, right?
And I think with Vincent, it's not so much that he's got like plot set up in the traditional sense, but he does have this place now where he clearly wants new things. He's wanting out of the life that he's got, and he feels kind of trapped here. So that's still kind of setting up plot.
I think what the key difference is. Last season, everyone ended in a pretty good place. Like they were on the upswing. They were, content. It's like, okay, parlors are open. Candy got a job, right? All these things kind of came together. It's like, yes, they're there. And then now it's, or maybe not.
I mean, that's simplified it down to its simple possible form. It's a really obscure quote, but I'm actually quoting the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Because Giles says that to Xander when he says that Angelus is doing the na form of battle, and then Buffy boils something down a little minute later when she says, "Oh, so basically, Giles, you're telling me to just ignore me and go away." So then Xander says, "How come she doesn't get a boiling everything down to the simplest possible form, Watcher's pet?" And so yes, that was the.
I can't believe you just spent 30 seconds explaining that.
It's a good scene, damn it. I just watched that episode like this week.
I believe you. There are a lot of good scenes in that show. It was not relevant to this review.
It was relevant to the comment I just made. But that was one though where I didn't plan a reference. I just said the line and went, "Oh wait, I just said a line from Buffy. I have to explain why I'm smirking at myself." Okay, so so let's tackle Vincent then. So Vincent, so interesting. We're talking about last episode how is there going to be a temptation to maybe go back to his wife and kids? And we have a scene. We've not seen his wife all season. The actress I really like as well is like who I think since season 1 was in the Big Sick.
Oh right, yeah.
She was the lady leading that, and she was fantastic in that. I liked her before anyway. I'd seen her in other movies before season 1, but like I feel like now that's what I'll say to people to say that's what she's from. You'll know her from that. But and it's like they're talking about relationships, like, oh, how did that thing work out with that guy? She's like, nah, that didn't end well. It's gone, and it's been very casual. They seem to be in a very good place where he comes and visits the kids, and they're very civil with each other. They're friends.
Watching movies.
Yeah. It seems to be in a very good, healthy, broken up place, as far as divorced parents go. And he starts talking about Abby, and he's like, "Oh, she's great, but like I don't know if like she wants the same things." And he talks about how she's smarter than he is, and she's this world in a different way. When he first met her, she was this idealistic college student, and now she's like this activist, and she seems to kind of like going beyond him. And his wife tries to give it. You're smart. Don't let her get you down. But so on and so on. But when he starts describing what he wants a wife, he wants kids, he wants a lawn and dogs and cats and everything. Like there's a genuine moment of like spark, but it's almost like there's a reason why these two fell for each other in the first place. But they were young and stupid, and they both did things regrettable.
And as Vince says, he's more mature now.
He's more mature now, yeah. And I kind of believe him.
Oh, I definitely do.
Which reminds me, actually, Frankie's back with his wife, and it's like they go to the premiere, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, make sure we have to make it up to my wife here about the movie role." So she's in the next one, right?
Leading role.
Yes, and then she's like, "No, you need to make it up to me." It's like specifically you, Frankie, need to make it up to me.
I love how Harvey's just like nods off, like, "Sure, whatever, leading role."
Yeah, he's not got money to be a producer in the next one though, so I mean, he's gonna be able to say shit.
Yeah. You say that, he'll find money again somehow.
I just love how he's just in the doghouse, just kind of in perpetuity now for this.
It's pretty funny.
Because she just looks like she's pissed at him all the time. It's kind of glorious.
Yeah.
I love it. So, yeah, so Vincent's, though, he's... So one of the big things we've not mentioned yet is Dorothy turns up dead. Which, because that was the thing. See, when they found the body, we just see the foot, and it was kind of hard to tell anything from it. I thought, they found Cece? Is this, are we going to find Cece's body? And then they pull out the driver's license or whatever, and it's like, oh shit, it's Dorothy. Even
then, at first, I wasn't. Obviously, we didn't see her body properly, so I was like, okay, is it actually her?
Did someone steal her wallet? is that what's happened?
Right. I thought maybe we could have done, but then as it goes on, no, it's her.
Yeah, and this, you know what? This was actually way more affecting than I thought. I think it just happening off camera randomly. Again, it sets us in the place where like Abby is, where she's just not seen her for a week, and it's just kind of it pops up out of nowhere. And Loretta's pissed. Loretta basically attacks Laurie at one point, and quits. She's like, "No, I'm done with it." Because it was she was always kind of settling back into to her prostitute life, and it was like this was the shock she needed to go. You know what? No, I'm not. This is not me anymore.
How Larry's like, I didn't kill anyone. What the hell are you on about?
Yeah, because it's not like she's specifically saying he did it so much. It's more you're part of the pimps. The pimps did this. Therefore, you're culpable in this. You're part of this
but
world.
He's just so confused. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Wait, she's dead?
Yeah, but
I believe him.
I like the reaction though. It was kind of like he was genuinely kind of shocked, but it was at the same time he's putting on the strong front. But Darlene's also reacting, in the other room, and the other girl. Like the reaction in the room was really well done, as was Abby's reaction, which was really strong. And kind of like Laurie being broken, seeing Abby be broken to the point where she's just breaking down in tears, where Vincent has to come by immediately and come in and like hold her, and she's like crying on the couch, and when he's leaving to go and like arrange the funeral and stuff like that, Loretta has to come over and keep her company because she's just that distraught. And it was like she's been such a strong, strong-headed, figure like throughout all the show, so determined in everything she's been doing, that seeing her broken down like this and believing that change isn't possible. And I think what this show's told me is that change is possible. It's just long and it's hard and it's full of hurdles, and there's probably going to be sacrifices along the way. Kind of like how we're saying how at the end of this season, okay, everyone had all these things that seemed happy, everything's moving on, but they're all hit with these new problems, these new things that are happening because of the changes. And so I feel like that's a big theme of the show.
I was saying how everyone kind of feels like the ending is a little bit reversed from last season, and like, okay, they've moved forward, but they get hit with something to overcome going forward. I thought funny the person who seems to be in the healthiest, best place going forward probably is Larry.
And Darlene. I'd say Laurie and Darlene both.
Yeah, okay, Darlene too.
But we'll get to them in a second. Vincent stuff here. Because before he actually takes that phone call, he has a scene with Bobby and then with Mike, where he's talking about... Because Bobby's like, oh no, because one of the scenes we get as well early on is that Black Frankie is ordered to hit the other guy, the drunk driver. And, he's meant to be like one of their friends, like one of their team. And apparently, they heard that he was talking, he was blabbing to people, and...
Yeah, he was too drunk, and we've seen evidence of how bad he is.
Yeah,
with the drink.
And it's a really brutal scene where Black Frankie just pulls out the gun and just kills him. Like
it's just like, hey, look over there, bang.
it's very emotionless. So when Bobby's concerned that what happens if one day they ask him to take out one of us, will he care? Will he even warn us? Will he try to do anything other than just take the order? He's supposed to be working for us, but he clearly, he'll.
Tommy tells him to do that, and he does it.
So Bobby's freaking out, and Vincent.
It's like, dude, you killed a guy last week.
I know.
Calm down.
Which is interesting. I wasn't aware Vincent would have known about that, but he clearly does.
Oh, well, Frankie can't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
That long.
But at first he tries to dismiss it, but it's clearly weighing on him. And then when he's talking to Mike, he's talking about, are we good guys or are we assholes? And like, what if one day like one of us is asked to like take out the other, like, and he's like, we're good guys, right? I think so, but you never know for sure. And they kind of laugh it off. They're very obviously they're still friends, but they're kind of like acknowledging the kind of the seedy world they're in, and it's kind of hard to predict these things.
Yeah.
But he arranges funeral arrangements, and he's at the cemetery. And what I thought was a neat touch, he walks over to this other area, and I immediately went, "Oh, that's where they buried that girl earlier in the season because of the tree." I recognised the tree because they really had that big shot at the end when it pulled up, so I just knew what the tree was immediately. And he goes to Bobby and says, "Hey, you never put a gravestone in for that girl. What was her name?" And Bobby can't remember her name.
Well, neither can he, because he's just like, "Oh, what's her name?"
But I mean, I feel like Bobby out of the pair of them should probably have hit him harder. So
it should have, and then he goes, "Oh, why didn't you go and put a stone down?" He just goes, "I forgot."
And that's when he says, "We can be better than this. We are better than this." And it's the idea of like slowly realizing that they're becoming part of this world where all of these morals, everything's kind of like crumbling, kind of gradually. And Bobby kind of nods and kind of like. He seems, because Bobby's very obviously confrontational a lot of the time, but he seems very agreeable to what he just said. He's like, yeah, we are better than this. Let's do this, because he does care, but is caring enough? Like if it slips away over time and you don't actually do anything about it, like is it really caring? Even though he feels like he cares, even though he puts on the voice that he cares. Because it's right after this where his son walks out, because earlier on in the episode, Melissa's got a little subplot where she goes to the other pimps, and they all tell her to get lost because now she's got two pimps that have turned up dead.
Yeah. She's cursed.
So they don't want
Bobby's
her.
Next.
So Bobby is next. She goes to the parlour, and she was thrown out in season 1, of course, because she stole that guy's money. And they're told, she's told to get lost, basically, but Bobby's son's like, "Oh no, I mean, I'm a manager too." Which was amusing, and he's like, "Oh, like I'm 24," and she's like, "Really? You don't look 24." It's funny, everyone says that. And
smooth.
And he goes, "Like, I'll take you out for dinner. Maybe we can clear up, old beef."
What do you want?
Yeah,
steak or lobster?
Why not both? And he's been all flirty, and it's the same with Vincent where he comes out at the back with her. And they put on the jukebox, and he turned because he's talking about dancing with her. He turns around and just sort of like gives him like the eyebrow raise, like
yeah.
like he's making the moves.
I also like that he pulled a Frankie and he just took the cash out the till.
Yes, he did. Yes, he was very Frankie. It's in the blood apparently.
Yeah.
You get Vincent genes, you get Frankie genes. I know what you should be hoping for. But what I loved about this is that it came right after that conversation about we can be better, we can do better. And then Bobby's son walks out with a prostitute, and Bobby, well, he cared at first, now doesn't give a shit. He just reads his paper. Yeah. He kind of looks and kind of sighs a lot. He's like, shrug his shoulders, whatever. Boys will be boys, and that's kind of his attitude.
I think ultimately he knows that. Okay, it's just hypocritical for him to try and say anything at this point, right?
Yeah, his son's destined to be just as bad, if not worse, than he is.
Yeah.
And it's this. I think Vincent, despite the conversation he just had, kind of has this moment, and I like that the girl who died earlier in the season, like her death is kind of still a factor, and the guilt, and again the idea of because that's been Vincent's big thing. That was one of the big things that propelled him to tell Abby everything and give her the money, and those envelopes are building up. We see Abby at the end; she's got all these envelopes full of cash.
I have a question on those. I thought those envelopes only came once a week. I thought they were a weekly drop. Are they daily?
I don't think they're daily.
Because there were, he goes, "Oh, they're piling up," and she's like, "Yeah, I haven't seen her in about a week." I'm like, "How are they piling up?" Well, it threw me.
Well, I would just take that as she hadn't given any to Ashley in the last couple times she saw her because there was no specific girl wanting to get out. That's what the money was being used for. So It's like she was giving it to Ashley, but she wasn't necessarily giving them to Ashley every time they came in, like immediately.
I assumed she was, because she's got like a stack of like 6 or 7 of them at the end.
Something like that, yeah. Maybe it's more than weekly. Maybe it's twice a week, or something like that.
Yeah, it could be.
So they stack up a bit quicker. I mean, we see him getting them a lot, so I mean, maybe it is more than weekly.
Yeah, but we see him getting them from everywhere, so
yeah, that's true.
On his end, it feels like a lot.
But no, so very very strong plot for Vincent. We end the episode and he's standing there, and I love that the final shot actually in the montage, the final shot of the episode, or the final scene rather, not the shot, is him walking into the 366, just like we started with Candy right back at the start of the season, except it's a bit more dour. He's not in a great place, and he's walking in. And he's surrounded by the thing that he was so happy to have this place at the start of the season. This was his dream, and it was as he put it, the 366 was the place to be. That was one of the lines he said back in episode 1. And he looks like he's trapped by the sea of people, and he's
this crowd just blocking him in.
He's suffocating, and it's just kind of beautiful. So
it is.
So in terms of character progression, so no, that's really cool. Yeah, Laurie and Darlene. Let's talk about Laurie and Darlene. So. Darlene, I was talking about moments where the acting really, obviously one was Candy at her father's place, one was Laurie with the crime with Cece stuff, but the other one that really stuck out to me was actually the scene. Darlene's got a job. She's got a job at a clothes store, and as a guy recognizes her from one of the porn movies, and her acting with this. It's when she turns around, because first she's like, "Oh, you're mistaking me for someone else," and he's like, "No, I would never forget that face or everything else that's attached to it." It's when she's turning around and almost looking at the camera, where her expression changes before she turns around and starts like hitting them and telling them to get out.
She flips.
She flips, but I love that change of expression on her face. It was really, I don't know why I quite say subtle. It felt very natural. It felt like a very natural change.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it subtle, because it was quite a drastic change from the smile that she had before, right?
Yeah.
But natural's probably fair.
Yeah, I think because as much as we're saying that she ends up in a happier place than most people in the show for this season, I do think it's notable that she still has that thing. She still has that obstacle. So okay, things are getting better, but her past life and being recognised in these movies is going to be an obstacle that's in place of her
she's still
normal
got
life.
Something that she's got to deal with there.
Yeah. And I think that's that moment for her. But later on, she tells her would-be boyfriend the truth. She was a prostitute. She's been in dirty movies, and you think he's going to leave her sitting there, but he puts his hand down and says, "Come to class." And obviously, it's a lot to hear. You're not expecting someone to tell you that. But from what we see in the montage, they're going to dinner. They seem happy. She's smiling. Yeah. She's in a restaurant. She's dressed up. She's fancy. It all seems very happy. But of course, the other standout with her is the scene where she actually leaves.
Yeah, definitely. She just packs her bags and then walks out one morning.
And she's been really sneaky, and I was like, I kind of hope Laurie gets up. I want to see how he tackles this. And sure enough, he gets to the door just as she's walking down the hall. And not to my surprise, that's a weird thing. It would be to my surprise last season, I suppose. It'd be to be my surprise if it was any other pimp. But
it's just like, what? No goodbye?
Yeah, he's like, he was expecting this. He knew it was coming, and he accepted it.
Yeah.
And that was so different. And she steps in, and she's like, yeah, this was easier this way. And he goes in for a kiss because he thinks it's the last time he's seen her. And she's like, you should never let me see you act. And he's like, what do you mean? And she's like, well, once I saw that you were just playing a role, I got that that's all you were ever doing. Pimping was just a role.
That's all I was doing as well.
Yeah, you weren't really a pimp and I wasn't really a prostitute. We were just playing those roles. Yeah. And pimping's not been in your heart for a long time.
Which we've been seeing all season.
Absolutely. I mean, in the montage, he's just straight up going for auditions. He's going to he's doing the monologue about the cop for the movie. Yeah,
that's it. He's out of the pimping game now, I think.
Yeah, he's done. And it's great to see. And she's off. She's got a job. She's I don't know if she's finished her education yet, but she's doing it, and she's new romance.
Yeah, I assume she's still just there for now. I mean, depends how much we time jump over the season.
Absolutely, yeah. But no, it's
I'm expecting a time jump, but maybe not as big a time jump.
I could see it being as big, and because it was 5-6 years the first one.
Yeah,
I could see us going to like 81, something like that.
Okay.
Because I feel like the start of the 80s, that early era of the 80s is where the end of the Deuce sort of so as a place.
Okay.
Kind of takes place.
So start, middle, and end.
Yeah, that's basically my thinking.
Yeah, makes sense.
Especially if there's going to be any effect of this, redevelopment stuff
yeah,
because that'll take time. So the good thing about a time jump is we can come back in and that can be
done.
can be like really into the middle of it. So
brand new sets for next time.
Yeah. So no, Laurie and Darlene have been a highlight of this season, I think, and I think they've stood out despite the fact that I think the great tension was coming from Laurie and Cece, and obviously Candy's story's always been fantastic and really well performed and well thought out. But even against those juggernauts in terms of the arguably the flasher stuff, there's been a really nice underbelly story with Darlene and Laurie.
Yeah, Laurie himself has been the surprise of the season.
Yeah, because he was fine in season 1, but he wasn't a standout character, I don't think, in season 1. But season 2, he's been elevated.
Oh, absolutely. He became one of the most interesting little characters just out of nowhere. I kind of never would have predicted it.
Yeah, but now I'm like, no, he's kind of one of my favorites. Like it's
like, no, I want more Larry.
Absolutely, it's great. We were actually going a bit long on this one, but I guess it makes sense. It was a slightly longer episode. It was a finale. We're leaving off on all these thoughts. Who have we not talked about? So many things going on. Paul. We're not talking about Paul.
No, we haven't.
Paul's an interesting one because he's acting friends. Like, I want to do a play. I want to do like a proper act, and I'm going to pick one of these books and I'm going to do it. And there's some fun jokes in there. And he's like, I want to do this with you. I'm going to help you, even though there's no money in it. I'm going to help you get like a theater that you can perform in. And we see him call Tommy. He sees a theater that he can get that's pretty. It's as cheap as he can get staying in the city, and he calls Tommy, and Tommy's like, "Well, you've already got this place set up. That's the lounge. That's great. Why do you need us now?" And he's like, "Well, I need to pay back my partner to his whatnot, and I've got a new venture." And he kind of joke about it not really making any money, but he wants to do it. And he wants to do like a clean cut. He's like, no, I want to like borrow the money and pay it back in a year and then be out. And Tommy's like, nah, it doesn't work like that. Like Rudy's not greedy. Like, we'll do what we do, but if we're in for life. Like, that's just how it works.
Yeah, I like Tommy in this scene. He's very upfront. He's very fair though. Like when he comes in, there's no ill will. He's like, hey, you're all sorted. This place is good. You don't need us. What's going on? Yeah,
no, it's Rudy and Tommy's thing's always kind of been like, they're actually pretty reasonable and civil with everyone until you cross them.
Yeah, until they're not.
Yeah, and I feel like he's going to do it, and I think it's actually speaking to his character and one of his things, because his whole thing with the lounge in the first place was that this is something he wants to do with his boyfriend because it's something that can be theirs, and that was a big thing. He was determined not to take money from Rudy, but now he wants to do something with his new boyfriend, and it's like it's never going to be good enough. He's always going to want the next thing, and
yeah. I think part of it though is he opened the lounge. It worked. He's making money on it. He proved that he could do it.
Oh, sure.
So he doesn't have that to prove to himself anymore. So it's like, well, everyone else is in with Rudy.
Maybe. I feel we're going to see a bit of a cycle here where he gets infatuated with one person, and it wouldn't surprise me if by the time he ends like setting up this theater that maybe him and his actor friend aren't in a great place anymore. Just kind of like he wasn't.
Probably. Yeah.
I could see that being like a cycle that repeats with him. We'll probably skip a lot of that though because we'll be having a time jump.
Yeah, we'll be right at the end of that.
Yeah, but that depends how long it takes to set up a theater. I'd have thought less than a year, but whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
What do I know? So
there'll be complications.
Yeah, no doubt. 5 years of complications. Again, it may not be a 5-year jump. I'm just assuming it'll be similar to the first season, but yeah, no. So no, worth mentioning that. I think that's it. I think that's all the big stuff.
We've done Vince and Frankie. We've done Candy.
Yeah, Darlene, Laurie. I mentioned Shay, Irene.
Yeah.
Bobby, Black Frank. Yeah, I think that's everyone.
I think that's everyone.
I think that's everyone.
This will be a shit episode to have missed someone though.
It would be. It really would be. But I think we've done it. So no, it's interesting. So we've lost CC and we've lost Ashley for next season. It's funny because I think we speculated that either one of them could die by the end, and it's interesting that both of them ended up dying.
Yeah, I think CC, I think we'll feel his impact a lot more of the loss of him because he's been such a big character, such a big presence that him not being there is going to feel weird. Whereas Ashley, I mean, she popped up, maybe halfway through the season, a bit before, and she's kind of just in and out.
Sure, it is a present. I think her death's important enough.
No, I think it'll have a big impact on the other characters. I meant just as we're watching it.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I will notice the lack of Cece a lot more.
Yeah, but I think it's just the way the idea that the old pimp is dying out, and he was kind of the first big.
Well, him and Laurie. One's dead, one's just moved on.
Sure, yeah, okay, yeah. They're both, I mean, we've been kind of talking about the duality there, how one's moving on and doing new things, and one's just resisting. But the idea that the ones who resist are the ones who are going to die out.
And Rodney, of course.
And Rodney, either literally or figuratively.
Yes.
So but no, fantastic season.
It's so consistent episode to episode.
It is so consistent. It's so weird to compare seasons of this. Like, I mean, I'm trying to think, do I want to say it's better than the first season? And in a weird way, I probably do, just because it's naturally more advanced in the story, and therefore everything means even more than it did in season 1. But at the same time, I'm like...
I don't think on a technical or a writing level or directional level, anything is actually any better than season 1.
Or worse,
it's just,
for the matter.
Or worse. No. It's exactly on par. It's just better overall because it's got the extra weight because season 1, it's additive.
Yes, exactly. It's the sort of thing where the ending of any story should be the best and most satisfying part. It's not a complete failure if it isn't, but it theoretically should be because that's when you care the most if it's done its job.
Yes, and that's what you build up to.
Yeah.
So it just makes sense that it should, in theory, get better as it goes, even if the quality doesn't change.
Yeah, doesn't always work like that, of course, and not always because it's a bad ending. Sometimes it's just a standout thing in the middle that's just the best part. But that's just the way things go.
Whereas if this just holds its course again, I'll probably say season 3 will be the best season.
Yeah. And we'll have a great trilogy of seasons. And it does kind of feel at the end of Act 2 in the sense that things are getting darker. Like, things are getting a bit more desperate for a lot of the characters. Even though there's some hopeful stuff in there. I'll be interested to see how much we see of certain characters next season. Like, do we see as much of Darlene now that she's maybe got a more of a normal life? Do we see as much of Laurie now that she's off in the industry?
Yeah, I think... Laurie, I think there'll be a big deal about her coming back at some point for a shoot.
For a shoot, yeah, because that's a great way of having her back, though. There's a movie being shot and she's here for that. Like, that's easy enough to do. And she's not going to be scared because Cece's dead. So,
yeah. Larry will probably just be hanging around sets movies again still. Yeah. Darlene's trickier because I don't think she wants to be involved in that life.
No, she's kind of gotten out. If anything, you could argue this should be the end of her story because she's gotten out. She's got her life.
Yeah, I like. See, it depends on the time jump. If there wasn't a time jump, I'd say there'd be a big advantage to following up a little bit further.
Yeah.
Seeing a deal with being recognized occasionally.
I mean, I think at the same time though, I could totally see her not being involved in that and still being a main character in the sense that we'll see how what's going on in the industry affects the characters who aren't in it anymore. Like, how does that? What's the knock-on effect? Maybe not to the same extent as Street. Even if she's not like a main part of the season, I do think like in like the montage in the last episode, we'll see where she is and see how her react to like whatever the final elements are. I expect everyone who's alive who's been a main character, I expect at least a cameo from next season.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I'm questioning whether or not she's going to have a main plot next season like she's had done the first two, because it feels kind of like, no, she's had a kind of happy ending. Almost.
I will be very impressed if they can give her a main plot and have it feel on par with everything else in terms of quality. Because right now, I'm thinking, right, what do I do that doesn't undermine this, that doesn't leave her, right?
That's why we're not paid to write this show.
No, exactly. But I can't actually think of anything at all that springs to mind that okay, that's what you do. Whereas usually, even if it's not the best idea, I've got an inkling. Whereas right now, nothing. So I will be impressed if they do.
I wonder if they could do something where, kind of like Ashley, she tries to help someone in the life. Not in a widespread way, but the idea being that, again, it'll be different because she'll handle it in a more... Because I think a big part of her story, which I really like, actually, is we're talking about how a lot of this is how change takes time and there's obstacles.
Yeah, because she almost got out once before.
She almost just cut and run last season with a bus ticket and it didn't work out. but doing it gradually over the 5 years, and getting schooling, doing bit by bit, building herself up, and seeing herself as a stronger person who can be in society in a normal capacity. And it's had a much happier ending than everyone else trying to just do things quickly.
I think it's possible to do that, but I'm skeptical. Again, I think I mentioned this earlier in the season before Cece died, and Laurie was maybe going off to LA. I was like, okay, but next season I was concerned about it feeling a little like it was redoing what we'd just done with Ashley, right? And I feel the same here. Is they've got to do enough to differentiate it to show me that that's worth it doing again.
Yeah, I'm just because I have no idea if they're going to do that. I'm just suggesting ideas. I don't think there's any reason to have any fear that they're going to handle whatever they're going to do properly. There has been zero misstep, I don't think, in terms of how they handle characters on this show.
No, there hasn't. Like I said, I think this is one of the most consistent TV shows I've ever seen.
So yeah, whatever they do, I'm sure it'll be great. But
yeah, me too.
Whether or not she's a main factor or not, I thought it was an interesting question, given that she feels like she has a happy ending and we could leave her here and be satisfied.
And maybe we should.
Yeah. Yeah, and to an extent with Laurie, but Laurie still being in the industry means there's a lot to explore with her being a star next season, where she's had like a career under her belt and she's had all these movies, and
I can kind of see it getting to a point where maybe she's transitioned into real movies, and they try and book her for a porn film, and her not wanting to do it.
I think another big thing is how the stigma of what their life has been up until now kind of follows them around. That ties into Darlene being recognised. It ties into Candy not wanting to be a star anymore. She just wants to direct, and people, but the interviewer, everyone she talks to, always wants to talk about her being a porn star. That's what they want to talk about. And I could see maybe if they go down that route where Laurie's trying to transition to other movies, maybe that's something that could be explored there as well. So. But no, surprise, they just had a fantastic finale. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv, and you can do that over there and keep all the reviews coming. In terms of stuff coming up, obviously we're doing a bunch of Netflix and Amazon stuff right now. We've got Sabrina going, we've got Homecoming going. In terms of your highbrow dramas, I don't know what the next thing is on the radar. But I'm sure there'll be something.
Have a look. Obviously, from HBO, what we got coming up
before True Detective in season 3. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we've got anything before True Detective.
I don't think
I'd say coming up, we got Little Drummer Girl. In the next couple of weeks, that might be worth checking out.
Yeah, we're going to look at that. It's from Park Chan-wook, so it should have good direction if nothing else. But yeah. So, but I'll keep it with us. We and if you got show suggestions, by all means, shoot them our way. We do not promise to try everything, but we will
consider everything.
And look at if it's worth doing. But no, that has been the Deuce season 2. It's been pretty fantastic. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?